The Nam vs. Goku fight is interesting because it puts Goku in a kind of antagonistic position we aren't used to seeing him in. We've seen Buddy being the underdog physically throughout the series in a number of fights, but this scrap against Nam is really the first time in the series where I could see a large number of fans want to see him take an L. Not because he was something different than the YS we all know and love, but because Nam's ambitions of feeding the fam are so pure and relatable, it makes you feel like a kitten puncher if you don't root for him. It's cool seeing Toriyama kind of navigate this dynamic throughout the fight as well. The battle opens up with Goku giving his best Kakashi cosplay and swiping the move he just watched Uncle Jackie extend Krillin's ball spot with, doing an after-image technique and looking to knock the Eastern pugilist across from him on his back in record time. Nam's third eye is open though. He senses the malarkey at play and is able to dodge and tries to hit homie with a foot dive straight out of Dr. Doom's move list from Marvel 3, but Goku sharp steps out and we get a solid back and forth going, with audience and contenders all having to put respect on a display of martial arts prowess they've been able to cop front row seats to. After taking a nasty kick, Goku shows the depth of his appetite by eating that nonsense, then lets off a forward B, looking to knock Nam back into Gerudo Valley. Nam is able to DI in time though and turns it into an assault of his own, giving Goku a taste of that Spock he hit Ice Spice with earlier. Goku's overcome with the ouchies, but as you all know, Nam got that ESRB rating put on his hands a long time ago, and he was preparing to punt little fella out of the ring, so Goku snatched him up with his tail, the plan the whole time, and then iced out his momentum. Here's where Toriyama got straight into his Looney Tunes bag. Goku's still trying to work out his bag of special moves with this being so early in the series. He got possessed by the spirit of the Tasmanian Devil on Crash Bandicoot and began spinning relentlessly, becoming an unintelligible mass of flailing arms and legs, making his way to Nam. They weren't cooking up nothing like this back in his village, so he proceeded to get bullied by Goku's Mario down B-ass assault, and right as it looked like the end of the match was coming, Goku gave himself a concussion from the velocity of the spinning and went to sleep. Nam decided that as much as it might pain him, it would be foolish to not take advantage of this gift from the gods, and so Buddy super jumped into the air and hit my man's Goku with the Alex from Third Strike Down heavy punch cross chop from hell, landing straight on the kid's esophagus. The whole audience almost threw up. Nam started praying immediately, knowing he just bought himself at least 3 more trips through Samsara with that one. But as the countdown hit 9, this gremlin Goku apparently was too much of a crash out to live in the company of the Makai at this point, darted to his feet and started coughing like he just did the hot chip challenge, as opposed to having the entirety of his neck turn into Dorito dust. Nam couldn't believe it. He damn near threw in the towel right there. But remembered that he still has a village to feed, and he was sure that one more 100-foot drop directly on his neck would be enough to even put the most energetic of jungle men down. And so Nam hopped back up and prepared to end the franchise early, but to his surprise, as he looked on, he saw Goku climbing up next to him and eventually hopping up even further, leading to our first mid-air battle of the series. Goku appeared to have something up his sleeve though. Rather than keeping up the aggression up top, he had a fast fall. Nam was like, damn, works for me, have Mr. Beast cut the check. But as he prepared to make contact, Goku changed trajectory and utilized his momentum to perform a flying kick directly into Nam's chest, sending our hero flying into the dirt, broke with a new hospital bill to reconcile on top. Goku and friends celebrated, but Chun was sick to his stomach because he was really about to get his wig pushed back by a 12-year-old, wasn't he? Here's where Toriyama's writing chops come in though. As we head backstage with Chun and Nam, Chun congratulates Nam on a battle well fought, and as appreciative as he is, it's hard to take the compliment in stride knowing the city is going to starve due to his failure. That's when Big Chun steps up to the plate and shows that he's about far more than checking out fannies, throwing Nam an empty capsule and encouraging him to fill that bad boy up with water to take back to his people. When Nam asked how he knew about his reasons for entering, Chun let it slip that he's Muten Roshi, and that seeing into the hearts of folks is light work for the Turtle Hermit School. Nam couldn't believe it. He was standing next to the great Muten Roshi, but is curious at why a fellow with his clout wouldn't be putting his name out there. And right here, y'all, is why I continue to give all the flowers in the world to Roshi and what he instilled in Krillin Goku. He lets Nam know that this year a couple of absolute demons happened to knock on his door with the desire to train and enter the tournament. Eventually, it became clear that these kids were far from ordinary, and there was a real chance they could take the whole tournament under the right circumstances. Now, one might hear that and be like, yo, that's a good thing, right? You randomly come across 2 new proteges with that much potential, and they have the chance to take this tournament. What that could do for your name out here would be crazy, right? But this is what sets Roshi apart. Fella has a wild amount of flaws, but one thing he is truly about is seeing his students blossom into the best of their potential. So he tells Nam that he entered the tournament under a different name to let his students that no matter how strong they happen to get, the world is a big place, and there's absolutely no time to get complacent. Roshi knew there was a high likelihood that if they won, that could be the end of their martial arts career. They would think they scaled the highest wall in their youth, and from there would only be down, and the truth of what they could actually be would never be realized. Crazy wisdom. Reminds me of a saying that I heard about: the worst thing that can happen to a gambler isn't losing, it's winning. Sometimes being met with success can reinforce the wrong lessons in your head, and while you may get a short-term victory out of it, it comes at the cost of your long-term perspective and the worldview that can take you years to come back from, and sometimes even do irreversible harm. So as Roshi made his way to the ring, he called in one last favor from Nam, having him don his sunglasses and cane and turn the tide on any suspicions Yamcha and the group still had of him, allowing him to cement in Goku's head firmly that there are other strong people in the world besides him and Roshi. And this is why it's so powerful to go back and take some time with the early Dragon Ball, right homies? Getting to see in real time the lessons that make Goku the character that shapes so many of our lives is a crazy thing. And I hope modern Dragon Ball fans can have it in them to go back to the OG videos and manga and see what we're all yapping about. But this leads us into the final match of the tournament, Goku vs. Jackie, and seeing the shift in tone from the goofiness of the beginning matches of the tournament into the tension that is now present as Goku and Roshi stance up against one another just goes to show Toriyama and his team's expertise at shifting from comedy to stark sincerity and real stakes, which is not an easy thing to do. When done incorrectly, it can make your entire story feel inconsistent. But Dragon Ball is able to shift from its most lighthearted moments into depth so organically, it really speaks to the experience of the people behind the pen. Getting the fight underway though, unlike in the previous matches, Roshi had concluded that against a nutcase like Goku, it would be foolish to let him set the tone, so charges forward to get his offense started. Goku, sure this geriatric menace has no vertical, takes to the air, but Roshi proves white man can jump and delivers a boot to ass, and it looks like Goku's on the verge of a ring out 15 seconds into the match. As Roshi starts to think on how anticlimactic that was, Goku activates his miles per hour protocol and returns to the ring with the power of his built-in propeller. Y'all, the amount of random ass powers, no pun intended, Goku has been putting up here should actually be illegal. This fella got his whole move list from the Hanna-Barbera lineup and putting the whole population through it. Roshi then readies up, hoping to put this match to bed before the little dude can get any more momentum and begins charging up a Kamehameha for the flashy finish. As he fires off, a massive explosion occurs as Goku decides to go band for band and shoots his own Kamehameha wave, leading to both beams being canceled out in the middle of the ring. Roshi's in disbelief the kid managed to perfect the move to that extent in such a short amount of time, and decides to kick it into high gear, going deep in his bag for that new. He hits Goku with a double after image strike and sends his cranium directly into the concrete, ordering an announcer homie to get the count going before this lunatic wakes up. It's no time though before Goku's back up and at him, looking no worse for wear. He then decides to try out a trick of his own, not only activating the Sharingan on Roshi again, but making it even better, doing a triple decoy attack and leaving Roshi with a massive goose egg as he contemplates what kind of demon he created. A little cute thing they mention in the manga is the monkey see, monkey do nature of Goku's fighting style at this point. And I feel like that's true. With his high fight IQ and being a sponge related to anything that has to do with making his hands more potent, he's able to not only pick up on techniques mad quick, but perfect them and make them his own in a way that others can only hope to imitate. Looking back on this, I would love if the series would have continued making this a part of Goku's character, with him continuing to steal moves from enemies to build up his own repertoire, getting in his Mega Man bag a little bit. Can you imagine how versatile this would have made him by the end of the series? And it's kind of a callback to his journey to the West origins and everything too. But let me stop because Jackie's still out here fighting for his life and decides a technique he knows Goku can't replicate. Fella becomes loose and sloppy in his movements. Goku attempts to attack Roshi, but is getting parried and sent to the cleaners every time he looks to mount an offense. Turns out Jackie decided to move to the Suiken, aka the Drunken Fist, because he knows Goku little ass has never had a drop of alcohol and wouldn't be able to replicate the feeling emotions the way he could. Two things I like about this moment are: one, when Goku mentions offhandedly that his grandpa used to be putting the belt to ass with this technique back in them days in their hut, which leaves me wondering, was Gohan just at home off that hand and putting Goku's ass through it on the regular? Man, between this and the crotch pillow, Gohan got some allegations to beat. I'm not gonna hold you. But second, I love how this is an homage to Roshi's namesake, with him getting into his Jackie Chan bag and showing off imitating the style of the Drunken Master, an all-time martial arts movie classic by Big Jackie. But speaking of being possessed by the spirit, as Goku's getting his ass beat like Rince do, he all of a sudden starts foaming at the mouth and his eyes start rolling the back of his head. Roshi's where you might have knocked one of the kid's screws loose, and right as he hops out of the way of the feral charge, Goku bounces back and delivers a kick that sends Roshi flying into the wall this time. Goku had a secret of his own, having honed his wild dog fist to perfection and sobering the old fellow up with the quickness. And And once Roshi made his way out of the debris, YS Goku started flexing on him, using his tail and all kinds of unnatural acrobatics to hop out the way and make it seem like Jackie was one step away from dementia. My favorite part is when this madman Goku pounces on Unk's face and starts pawing the hell out of him. Once we get into this part of the fight, Goku was in his disrespect bag heavy, and Roshi was getting pissed. I like this fight paying homage to the Kung Fu classics back in the day though. Characters replicating the movements and attacks of animals was always a go-to in those films, and you see Toriyama's inner martial arts fan coming alive here. The battle of attrition is far from over though. Once Roshi fixes his face, the whole audience ends up in stunned silence as he begins singing. Sure, that was time to get the old man his nurse. The joke stopped when young Ningen Goku fell over. Roshi's lullaby fist was a success. Roshi was finally able to exhale, happy that he was able to teach his protege a valuable lesson. Till from outside of the ring, Bulma brought up lunch, and a picosecond before the 10 count, Goku and his humongous back arose from their slumber looking to chow down. Goku, with his belly now in control, began busting out his Jonkin fist, showing Gon Freaks how it was done long before the current popularity he's got. Roshi survived the onslaught the first time, but Goku hit him with a remix the second, doubling up on Rock and delivering upon Roshi the harshest got your nose in history. Roshi was at his limit. He respected the fight the boy was able to put up thus far, but it was time for the elders to cement their place in history. Taking his arms out of his sleeve almost as if to show this was the last of his tricks, he informed Goku that the only person he had used this attack against was a man named Gohan, and he should do his best to survive. Goku heard his grandpa's name and was in shock, but before he could collect himself, he was overcome by the power of the Bankoku Bikurisho, or the heavenly shocking palm attack. Goku levitated in the air, crying out in pain, every moment spent in the attack burning what felt like all the cells in his body simultaneously. Roshi pleaded with Goku to give up, informing him that he had already lasted longer than his grandfather had done. And as Goku's pride slowly gave way, a crazed look entered his eye when up above him sat the full moon. And here, homies, with the tournament's climax is where we'll call it. Tune in next time as we finish up the World Tournament. How will Roshi deal with Goku's transformation? Will he be able to make it out of the tournament grounds alive, let alone with any more hope of victory and being in first place? Only one way to find out. Be easy, y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe. Take a look at the channel memberships where for $5, you can get early access to new vids as well as exclusive videos. And I'll be catching y'all again in the next one.